Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to route out this Seahorse. It measures in at 12 inches by literally 6 inches across. That's the width of my cheap fencing wood. You spend 2 or 3 minutes to sand it down and it does come up really nice and workable, and it's fairly cheap to purchase. Now the idea for me, I've got my template sorted. I literally just put tracing paper onto my computer or tablet and literally just traced it out. That way I can zoom it out to 6 inches across and I know exactly it's going to fit on my piece of wood. So we've drawn it out with pencil, we've placed it onto the wood itself. I like to use carbon paper underneath, then I use a pen just so it stands out against a pencil which I've already used, and literally just draw around it. If you've got the printer and the papers, you could print it out as long as you get your sizes right and just draw out over top of your printed paper. However, with this way, with tracing paper, we've not used any papers as such, we've not used any inks, and obviously, same as a printed paper, you could use that one over and over again. So there's our little template for today. That's just enough what I want. Take your time to look at your wood. Notice the nasty knot in there. So I've moved it about a bit just so that just clears that knot and we've not wasted. And this little piece on the end, I've got another little project lined up for that one already. Now you've got two ways of doing this. You can do inset, which basically we're going to remove all the insides of all these sections here, right down to the small ones. Or you can do outset, which is basically removing all the background. So we're going to go outside or inside. Now I've gone back and forwards a couple of times and I'm going to go for inset. So we're basically going to remove all these sections here. Take your time, find a pencil, either route in the sections you want to, colour in the sections you want to remove, or obviously colour in the section you want to leave. It's entirely up to you. You will find you'll go away, come back and then start routing out in between. We want that to stay there. We have all these to remove. It looks a lot, but once you get into the swing of things, you can soon clear them off. Once we've routed them all out, we will cut it out on a scroll saw, just to give it a nice shape. You don't have to. You could quite happily just cut that across there and leave it to the wood attached, and even route out the background 3mm, same depth as the inset cuts. That way that whole project will stand up nicely on the wood. I'm just going to cut it out because it's from my shed, and all my shed pieces have seemed to be cut out, well, most of them anyway. Once you've routed all that out with the CNC bits, I use it on all my projects. They do come with a small shaft on them, a 3.75mm. Just show you quickly. So it's a Dremel size shaft. That's a 30 degree, I believe, today. So 3.175 shaft. They will fit a Dremel, no problem, if you've got the Dremel router attachment. For a 1/4 inch router, you need one of these adapter collets, 6.35mm. And if you just slot that into the silver end, that will now fit your router, no problem, and you're good to route it out. So we'll do all the lines first, and some of these smaller ones we'll just go straight in and remove that with the CNC bit. You could do all this full project with that one bit if you've got the time. But we tend to go inside, remember, inset. We'll go around all these and then we'll pop on our end milling bits. I use it on most of my projects. They do have the same size shaft as the CNC bit, a 3.175mm should I say. We'll just get a nice one that we're going to use to clear all these bits out with, and it's just a simple case of removing your CNC bit, sliding that in up to that plastic marker. You can get them without that plastic marker on. It's exactly the same bit, just some companies put that marker on and some don't. And then we'll set it to the same depth, like I say, and root out all these. General tidy up, and then we'll get on to the scroll saw side of things. Right, we've gone all the way around the lines that we need to do. Now it's still rough and still dusty, but we'll sort that all out with some engraving bits on a flexi shaft connected to a Dremel, where we'll give it a nice tidy up. But for now, and you can see we've removed those smaller sections just with the CNC bit. They come out no problem whatsoever. Now for these larger sections here, I'm just going to pop on a end milling bits. These come in packs of 10 like this. If you just eBay or Amazon, just put in end milling bits and you'll get loads of these different ones coming up. Like I say, some will have these barriers on, some come without them, so I don't think you need those with the barriers on. And it's just a simple case of removing our CNC bit like so, popping in one that we know fits into these smaller sections. Even though we've removed the wood, just nice to go in with one of those, just to give it a general tidy up and smooth it out. So it's just a simple case of popping that in there. We'll pop that in the router. We can set it to one of these depths now, or obviously we can use our wood that we used before, our depth gauge. Okay, let's remove the inner sections now. Right, you can see from that we've cleaned it all out with our end milling bits. Now it's still rough, remember, we've got to go around and straighten this all out with our little Dremel bits and stuff. So we're nothing to be concerned about there. But we've definitely got the general shape that we're going for. Just before we do clean it out, give it a nice sanding down, I'm just going to cut it out on a scroll saw, just so we get the actual shape of this Seahorse itself. Now it's a personal thing, I do prefer spiral blades for my scroll saw, and as the title says, they are spiraled. Just get it there somewhere, maybe not, how's that, nope, okay, there. So they are spiraled the full length of the blade. Good thing about that is you can cut in any direction, up, down, left, right, it doesn't matter. So basically you could put that in your saw like so, start your blade here, and if you just feed that round like that without moving the wood too much. On your straight blades, you get pin blades. They come with a pin at either side. I'm trying to get this to work here, as you can see. And then you get pinless blades. You got it, they come without the pins on. The good thing about pinless blades, you can get into really tight areas. If you imagine we were cutting the inside of that eye out, or that shape there, that's the actual eye. But if you're cutting that out, you would drill a pilot hole, feed that through and cut that out. Whereas with a pin blade, you just wouldn't get that in there because of the pins. So pinless blade, pin blade, and pinless spiral blades. I just prefer a spiral blade. It's a personal thing. And just remember, when you put any blade into your scroll saw, you want the T facing towards you, and it wants to feel smooth on the way down. Just get this one the right way, and it wants to feel rough on the way up. That way you know you've got the blade in the right way. But like I say, for me, I just prefer a spiral blade. Okay, we'll pop this one in the scroll saw, and we'll cut this out before we start shaping. Right, that's it for the scroll saw side of things. I should pop out there nicely like that. Like I said previously, I do have a small project for that piece of wood. I don't waste a lot in my little workshop, I must admit. So there he is. We've got our basic shape of what we need. Now we have a fair bit of sanding down to do, especially on the back. Just get those little knobblies like so. And we're going to go inside here with a flexi cable. That's simply an attachment like this that fastens on to the end of your Dremel or any rotary tool. And I like to use these engraving bits inside. If you go on eBay and put in Dremel engraving bits, you'll get packets of these, and they've all got different heads on in different shapes, and they're ideal for cleaning out with, not just for engraving. I like to get one with a nice flat bottom on like so, and I like to go inside, give this all a nice tidy up, and then we use a good bit of sandpaper, give it a nice cleaning out, should I say. And then we'll get on to what we're going to do as regards to paint wise. Right, that's enough sanding down for me. We've used our engraving bit to go inside there and generally just tidy it up. Then we skimmed over with a mouse sander and then a good bit of old sandpaper just to round it off a little bit, just take that sharp edge off. And that's certainly plenty for what I need just to go on the side of this shed. Now for hanging purposes, I use what they call a T-slot bit. This comes with a 1/4 inch shaft on it. I've actually got a nice new one. I've not even used this one today, so as promised in previous videos, I am getting some new bits as we go along. That's basically what it is. And the idea, we'll set it in the router. I like to use a scrap piece of wood like this. I've used that same slit there on all my pieces, because I know it's the same thickness of the wood, and that's plenty enough to go in there. We route it across, come back out again, and that's enough slit there to hold the screw in. 5/16 this bit. They do come in different sizes, and the further you have that into your wood, so you just have the head of the screw showing, that will go on there really tight, and that's enough to hold that project in place. If it's too tight to get on, literally just screw it out the wall a bit more and it'll slide on a lot easier. And I use that on all mine. So I've drawn my little line. We've got our little circle there where it wants to be. I'm going to go across on this one, so we'll have it ready like that. We basically set this up in the router, and I'll just route this slit out just to show you. Right, we've put our slit in the back. That's plenty for what we need for this little project. On larger ones, I put 2 slits in, no problem. Now, painting wise, we're going to put some acrylic paint into this one today. I did and ahh about just putting a stain on and just doing one random colour through the old piece. But we're going to go a little bit crazy. I have noticed on my previous videos that my colours are really starting to pop out. So we're going to continue. The shed is nearly full, so we might as well finish as we started with plenty of colour. So I'm just going to go randomly with these acrylic paints. We'll add a bit of water into them just to water them down, make more of a stain than a paint. I'll just use Crawford and blacks. I've got no issues with them whatsoever. And we'll see once we go inside, and we'll just randomly paint inside these different colours. We'll really get some nice colours on this one. Go a bit crazy, as we say. The good thing about painting inset pieces, that we can basically just put that in there as quickly as we like. Doesn't matter about smudging, because we are going to sand over this with a mouse sander to smooth it all off, just to expose the nice clean wood again. And I think I'm just going to put boiled linseed onto that wood. So we will have a fair bit of wood showing, which is nice on wooden projects, but sometimes paint is the only way to go. It's a personal choice again. So we'll go away and put some acrylic paint on this, and then we'll spray a nice yacht varnish or varnish of some description, just to give it a nice shine, and then we'll be heading towards the finishing line. Let's go inside and paint this one. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. Now you'll notice there I put on boiled linseed oil. I use that on a lot of projects just to darken that wood down a little bit, and obviously to give it some nice bit of protection. And on top of that, we sprayed 3 or 4 coats of the gloss varnish from the paint factory. This is identical to the yacht varnish, but it's just called gloss varnish, but identical stuff. That comes up really nice, as you can see from that. Got a nice shine on it. Now it won't be the best finish in the world. There is better finishes out there that's going to make your little project last a lot longer. But for the side of my shed, these little projects, they're just fun little projects, remember. You can see from there, it's got a nice little shine to it. So, and I'm not overly concerned about when they start aging with the weather. Like all of us, we're all aging. So there we have it. Nice fun project. It's a Seahorse. It measures in at 12 inches by 6 inches across, routed out on rough fencing wood. We use CNC bits to do our lines with around all these sections here, and then we use the end milling bits to remove out all the inset sections of all the coloured, and then we use acrylic paint. Got a little bit crazy with the paints here. Put that on, nice quick sanding down, boiled linseed oil, and then the gloss spray, and that's it. This little project is finished. And don't forget your slit in the back for hanging purposes. Okay, we're going to put this one on the shed with the rest of them. Thank you very much for watching.